Imagine going in for a routine checkup only to find out that there's something not so routine lurking inside of you. X-rays have uncovered the most bizarre and unbelievable things for well over a century, and even medical doctors have been left completely gobsmacked by some of these X-ray discoveries. Join us as we have a look at 15 of the strangest things discovered by X-rays. Number 15. Lots of cutlery. Now imagine yourself in a hospital room lying on a bed with a stomach ache that just won't go away. The nurse walks in with an X-ray machine and moments later, you're staring in shock at the screen. There, in black and white, is the reason for your discomfort. 78 pieces of cutlery inside of your body. That's precisely what occurred to Margaret Dahlman when she visited her local hospital in Rotterdam. These doctors were stunned when they saw the X-ray that showed all those pieces of silverware inside of her stomach. It looked like a metal detector gone wild, and it was clear that she had been suffering from some sort of obsession. Every time that she sat down for a meal, she would ignore the food and eat the cutlery. Despite the bizarre situation, the team of doctors was up for the challenge, removing all 78 pieces of cutlery from Margaret's stomach. It was like a magic trick gone wrong as the silverware came out one by one, and Margaret was finally able to be free from her pain. The good news is that she made a full recovery and was able to leave the hospital with a clean bill of health. Margaret would later say that she didn't know why she felt the urge to eat the silverware, but she just couldn't help herself. Doctors at the hospital had never heard of a person swallowing so many foreign objects, making Margaret's case one of the strangest things that was ever discovered by an X-ray. Number 14. Steel marbles and magnets. Have you ever heard of a case where a child swallowed something that turned out to be more dangerous than anyone could have imagined? Well, that's precisely what occurred to Haley Lentz, a curious and playful 8-year-old who recently had a close brush with danger. One day, she put together a set of magnetic building blocks, placing the steel marbles and magnets into the structures with care and excitement. But little did she know that her life was about to take a drastic turn. As she was playing, a few pieces of her building set fell out, and she, without hesitation, popped them into her mouth. Her parents were in the room but were so focused on their tasks that they likely didn't realize what had happened. The next day, she was writhing in pain, and her parents then rushed her to the hospital. The doctors were shocked when they saw the X-rays, showing that Haley had swallowed 20 steel marbles and 10 magnets, which had caused 8 tears in her intestines. The doctors were amazed that she was still alive and immediately sprang into action. They removed all the dangerous pieces from her delicate body with precision, and Haley was a fighter and didn't give up. 2 weeks later, she would be released from the hospital, much to the delight of her family, and doctors were calling her lucky to be alive. Her family was overjoyed to have her back home, but Haley's family was not content to sit back and relax. They were determined to make sure that this never happened to another child again. They went after the manufacturer, Mega Brands, and demanded that they recall their magnetic toys. Mega Brands did just that, recalling 4 million of those toys in order to keep children safe. Number 13. A drill bit. Meet Ron Hunt, a construction worker known as the Miracle Man. Ron's tale is one that'll leave you in awe because it's strange and unbelievable, and it could have only been revealed through the magic of an X-ray. One fateful day, Ron took a tumble from a ladder while at work and landed face first on a drill. But instead of becoming just another statistic, he emerged as the now renowned Miracle Man. When he arrived at the hospital, the 18-inch drill bit was still lodged in his head, and X-rays would show that it was piercing through his skull. And Ron's friends and family were shocked when he arrived at the hospital with an 18-inch drill bit piercing his head. But the real shock came when the doctors examined his X-rays. It was a true testament to the human body's resilience and the skill of medical professionals. The X-rays would show that the drill had miraculously missed all of his major brain structures, leaving Ron able to breathe and speak. The doctors were able to remove the bit without causing any damage to his brain, and Ron's story is a testament to the power of modern medicine and the human body's ability to withstand even the most unimaginable injuries. So, the next time that you're feeling down about a minor scrape or a bump, just think about Ron and how he's living proof that miracles can happen. Number 12. Engagement ring. It was the day of destiny for a lucky guy in New Mexico. He had been dreaming of this moment for months, carefully crafting every detail to make it perfect. As he nervously got down on one knee, the air was full of anticipation and excitement. He had chosen the ideal location, a picturesque vineyard that was surrounded by rolling hills and endless skies. The sun was shining, birds were chirping, and it seemed as though everything was coming together. Little did he know that his big day was about to take a disastrous turn. Oh, how fate can be cruel. And so he placed the engagement ring on his girlfriend's milkshake, planning to surprise her with it after she took a sip. However, as she raised the glass to her lips in a fit of excitement, his heart sank as the ring slipped from its hiding place and then disappeared down her throat. They quickly headed to the hospital where x-rays would show that the ring had indeed made its way into her digestive system. Doctors would inform them that it was unlikely to cause any kind of harm and could likely pass in a day or two. But the couple couldn't help but feel disappointed that their once-in-a-lifetime proposal had been ruined. This would have been the perfect plot for a romantic comedy, but real life is never as neat and tidy. Number 11. Nails. One South Korean man had been suffering from headaches for years. Fed up with the pain, he then decided to find relief, so he went to see a doctor, and what they found was beyond belief. An X-ray would reveal a 2-inch nail lodged deep within his skull. But how on earth did it get there? The man couldn't remember, but does recall hitting his head at work. Despite the bizarre circumstances, the skilled surgeons were able to remove the nail, and the man made a full recovery. Or what about the story of a Californian man who was on a construction job handling a nail gun with care, but in a split second, everything changed. He stumbled, hitting the trigger, and then sent a nail into automatic mode. The X-ray would show a shocking 6 nails lodged in his head. Can you even imagine the pain that he must have felt? Yet with determination and courage, he underwent surgery to remove each and every nail over the course of 5 days, and then emerged as a hero. These strange tales are just a glimpse of the wonders of X-rays and the unexpected things that they can reveal. So the next time you feel a twinge or an ache, consider getting an X-ray. You never know what amazing secrets it may uncover. Number 10. A knife. Picture this. A man walks into a hospital with a knife sticking out of his head. It's not a scene from a horror movie, but a real-life story that will leave you scratching your head. This guy and his friend decided to play the hero and stop a robbery on a bus, but the outcome was not what they had expected. One of the guys ended up with a kitchen knife stuck in his skull, just above his eye socket. When he arrived at the hospital, he was conscious and coherent, and if it weren't for the knife sticking out of his head, you would think that he was there for a regular checkup. But X-rays would reveal the shocking truth. The doctors were amazed that this guy was not only alive, but also able to speak and move around easily. They quickly performed surgery to remove the knife, and the guy fully recovered. This story is just one example of the strange and unexpected things that X-rays have uncovered. From coins in the nose to cell phones in the stomach, X-rays have been the window into the world of medical mysteries. And who knows, maybe someday you'll have your own strange and incredible X-ray story. Number 9. Scissors. This is the story of Lin Kong, a man who found himself in a real pickle. He was munching on a delicious meal when suddenly he realized he needed to clean his teeth. But where's a toothpick when you need one? Not to worry though, he thought, I'll just use these handy nail scissors instead. But as he was using them, his friend told a funny joke. He laughed and then he swallowed the scissors. He tried to cough them up, but that only made things worse. The scissors went further down into his throat, and he was in a tight spot, but fortunately for him, would be taken to the hospital. Doctors were stunned when they saw the X-ray. The scissors were completely inside of his esophagus. They couldn't put him to sleep because that would have caused the scissors to go down further, so they had to freeze the area and remove the scissors within 30 minutes. And I'm happy to say that he has since made a full recovery. It would be a tense 30 minutes, but doctors were successful in the end. Lin has since recovered without any significant damages, which was a very close call for him. His X-ray is yet another portrayal of just how powerful the human body can be and the lengths that it will go to protect itself. Number 8. Pestle in the rectum. The next case is no ordinary one, that's for sure, and it wasn't just the man's cooking skills that were put to the test. It showed something very bizarre, an entire pestle that was stuck inside of a man's rectum. This was the case of the missing pestle. The guy was cooking up a storm, whipping up some Malaysian cuisine, when he took a wrong turn and ended up with a whole pestle stuck where the sun doesn't shine. But it does get even more strange. The X-ray shows something genuinely bizarre. The whole pestle was stuck in the man's rectum. The X-ray revealed the pestle was not only stuck, it was wedged in so tightly that it was almost as if it was purposely placed there. What in the world was going on in that kitchen? It's hard to imagine how it could happen, but it's a perfect example of why we should always be careful in the kitchen. And while this may seem like a strange and bizarre discovery, believe it or not, X-rays have revealed some even stranger things. Who would have thought that a simple cooking tool could cause so much trouble? So the next time that you're in the kitchen, be careful with those cooking tools. And remember that X-rays have uncovered some of the weirdest things in the human body, and who knows what they'll reveal next. Number 7. A fork. In a small Israeli town, a woman was going about her day, blissfully unaware of the impending disaster. As she was tidying up her home, a mischievous winged cockroach paid her a visit, but this wasn't just any ordinary visit. The cockroach had a taste for adventure and decided to take a daring leap straight into the woman's mouth. In a state of shock and disbelief, she did the unimaginable. She grabbed a nearby fork and stuck the fork down her throat in a frantic attempt to remove the unwanted visitor. But as luck would have it, the fork was not willing to let go, and it too went down her throat. The woman, now with a fork and a cockroach as her unwelcome guests, then rushed to the hospital. Doctors were in for a shock when they saw the X-rays. In the woman's stomach, there was a scene straight out of a science fiction film. A fork and a cockroach both comfortably lodged inside. But the X-rays would also reveal something even more strange. The cockroach, it seemed, had made friends with the fork, and they were now working together to create chaos in the digestive system. Dr. Nikolai Adid, the doctor on call, was amazed by what he saw, saying that he had never seen anything like that in his entire career. It was like a scene from a superhero movie where the cockroach had gained superpowers and teamed up with the fork to wreak havoc. But with his incredible skill and bravery, the doctor was able to extract the fork and the cockroach, saving the day and the woman's digestive system in the process. And to everyone's relief, the woman recovered very well. Number 6. 8-year-old boy. Aside from uncovering the strangest things in hospitals, X-rays have revealed some of the most bizarre things that people have tried to smuggle past airport security. Take, for example, the story of an 8-year-old boy who was found concealed inside of a suitcase in Spain. Can you imagine being cramped inside of a small space for hours with no room to move? The boy was in a terrible state when discovered by security. The woman carrying the suitcase was said to be in no better condition. But hold on to your hats because the real shocker is yet to come. The 19-year-old woman who was carrying the suitcase wasn't even related to him. She had been paid by the boy's father to smuggle him into Spain so that they could be reunited. It's a bold and dangerous plan, but it just goes to show the lengths that people will go to be with their loved ones. Who knows what else has been hidden in suitcases and gone unnoticed? X-rays have revealed everything from live animals to illegal weapons, so the next time that you're packing for a trip, think twice about what you might be hiding in your luggage, because you never know who's watching and what the X-rays may uncover. Number 5. A key. Nicholas Holderman was a lively 20-month-old with a never-ending energy. He loved playing in the living room with his older brothers Caleb and Isaac. The three of them were like peas in a pod and always kept their parents on their toes. But one day, Nicholas's playful spirit took a turn for the worst. As he was chasing his brothers, he tripped and fell, hitting the ground with a loud thud. The parents were in the kitchen and heard the screams coming from the living room, and that's when they rushed in to find Nicholas lying on the ground with a key stuck in his right eye. Panic would set in as they called for the ambulance. At the hospital, doctors took an X-ray and found that the key had reached Nicholas's brain. The parents held their breath as the doctors worked to remove it. They feared the worst, but within 15 minutes, Nicholas's eyesight was back, and he was up and playing again. The parents were shocked but overjoyed that their little boy was okay. His mother would go on to say that she'll never forget that moment because nothing can prepare you for something like that. The family was grateful that Nicholas had no long-term damages from the accident and that they could laugh and play together again. They cherished every moment they had with their little bundle of joy and never took their time together for granted. Number 4. Surgical scissors. Imagine waking up one day with intense pain that you can barely move. That's what occurred to Pat Skinner, a seemingly healthy woman who underwent a routine procedure to remove part of her colon. But what began as a standard procedure turned into a nightmare that would last for over a year and a half. Pat was told by multiple doctors that her discomfort was just a normal part of the recovery process, but she knew that something wasn't right. She couldn't stand, sit, or lie down without feeling pain. Finally, she couldn't take it anymore and she went to her general practitioner, and that's when the real mystery would begin. The general practitioner then sent Pat for an x-ray, and what they found was beyond anything that anyone could have imagined. Inside of her abdomen was a pair of surgical scissors, 6 inches in length. Pat was shocked and frightened and couldn't believe what she was hearing. Can you imagine living with a pair of scissors inside of you for a year and a half? She was immediately taken back to that same hospital to have the scissors removed, but how did they get there in the first place? Well, that's what Pat is trying to figure out. She's now seeking legal action and deserves answers. Pat's story is a reminder that sometimes the truth is stranger than fiction. It's one of perseverance and determination, and this is definitely one story that'll make you think twice before you blindly trust your doctor's word. Number 3. Yet another kitchen knife. 19-year-old Alex and his friends felt invincible on a night out partying. The night was meant to be full of laughter, music, and unlimited drinks, but it turned into a nightmare for 19-year-old Alex and his friends. They had spent hours inside the casino reveling in the game's thrill and the night's excitement, and were simply living it up. But little did they know that their luck was about to run out. As they stepped outside of the casino, they were approached by a group of strangers who quickly turned hostile. An argument would break out, and before they knew it, Alex was on the ground bleeding from a wound on his head. At first, he thought that he had been punched, but as the blood flowed, he soon realized the reality of the situation. One of the strangers had pulled out a 12-inch kitchen knife and plunged it into his head. As Alex was rushed to the hospital, doctors immediately took an x-ray to assess the extent of the injuries, and to their shock, the knife had gone through Alex's entire head and was poking out of the skin on the backside. But despite the severity of the wound, he was unbelievably lucky. The knife had missed his eye, his cranium, and all of the region's major arteries, veins, and nerves. The doctor who treated Alex would later speak to the Daily Mail and stated that Alex's survival was nothing short of a miracle. Regardless of all the pain and the trauma, Alex made it through the ordeal and lived to tell the tale. He would never forget that night that he faced death head-on and came out alive. Number 2. A larger nail. A seasoned construction worker, Patrick Lawler, had always been up for a challenge, but this time he faced one that he never expected, a backfiring nail gun. As he worked in the rugged terrain of the Colorado mountains, the tool that he relied on every day would suddenly betray him. With a sudden burst of pain, Patrick realized that a rogue nail had shot straight into his mouth. He initially tried to ignore it, thinking that it was just a minor inconvenience, but as the days passed on, the pain grew more intense. His wife, always the voice of reason, finally convinced him to see the dentist, and that's when they discovered what was beyond anyone's wildest imagination. X-rays would reveal a 4-inch nail lodged deep inside of Patrick's mouth. He was quickly rushed to the hospital where a team of highly skilled surgeons worked tirelessly to extract the dangerous object. The operation was a success, and Patrick emerged from the hospital with a smile on his face. Doctors were amazed, declaring him the luckiest man on the planet. They explained that if anyone was going to have a nail in the brain, they would want it to be like Patrick's, successfully removed and with no lasting harm. With a new appreciation for life and a story to tell for the rest of his days, Patrick continued to work hard, taking on every challenge with a grin and sense of wonder. He never forgot the day that a nail gun tried to take him down, but he emerged victorious. Number 1. An arrow. Lu Chiong was a young archer with dreams of becoming a champion. He trained endlessly at school, eager to perfect his craft, but one day as he pulled back his bow and released the arrow, he was suddenly hit by a shocking surprise. A stray arrow from a fellow teammate had missed its mark and struck him straight in the eye socket, piercing through the delicate bone and embedding itself into the back of his head. As he would be rushed to the hospital, he couldn't help but wonder if he would ever see the world the same way again. The medical team was faced with a daunting task. The arrow was so long that it wouldn't fit into the CT scanner, which forced them to cut a portion of it off before attempting to remove it. As they peered into the X-ray, they were amazed to see that the arrow had actually missed his brain by mere millimeters. For 4 long hours, the medical team worked tirelessly to remove the arrow, with each pull bringing fear that they might cause more harm than good. But as they finally extracted it, they breathed a sigh of relief. Lou was going to make a full recovery, and his recovery was nothing short of miraculous, with doctors amazed at how he was able to pull through such a traumatic injury. They credited his youth and quick action in getting medical help as the reasons behind his success, and the team would later say that if the arrow had been shot with just a bit more force, it would have likely exited through the back of his head, leaving him with no chance of survival. Which of these strange X-ray discoveries did you find the most intriguing? Let me know your answers in the comments section down below.